The blue ribbon represents the deoxygenated blood, which enters the heart through the vena cava. The blood travels through the heart and ends up at the right atrium, and this represents the right atrium contracting and pumping blood. The blood travels through the tricuspid valve, which is represented by the hallway, and ends up at the right ventricle, represented by the hula hoop. The right ventricle pumps the blood. The blood travels through the pulmonary artery, which is represented by the stairs, and ends up at the lungs. Once in the lungs, capillaries absorb carbon dioxide and replace it with oxygen. The blood travels down the pulmonary vein, which is represented by the stairs, and ends up at the left atrium. The left atrium pumps blood The blood then flows through the hallway, which represents the mitral valve. The blood travels through the mitral valve and into the left ventricle. The left ventricle pumps blood and travels through the aortic arch. The blood then has three options. It can be pumped through the carotid artery into the brain, the auxiliary arteries into the arms, or the aorta into torso and legs. The blood then flows throughout the body through arteries, capillaries, and veins. Blood will then return to the heart. The oxygenated blood then travels back to the heart. And the cycle repeats at the vena cava. The oxygenated blood enters the heart through the vena cava. The blood then travels to the right atrium. The jumping jacks represent the right atrium pumping blood. Blood travels through the tricuspid valve and ends up at the right ventricle. The right ventricle then pumps blood and travels through the pulmonary artery, which is represented by the stairs. The blood then ends up at the lungs.
Capillaries replace the CO2 with O2. Oxygenated blood flows to the pulmonary vein, which is represented by the stairs, and into the left atrium. Blood flows through the mitral valve, and into the left atrium. Once in the left ventricle, blood pumps through the aortic arch and then has many options. It can either go into the carotid artery and into the brain, through the auxiliary arteries and into the arms, or the aorta and into the torso and legs. Blood will then enter through the arteries, capillaries, and veins. Blood then travels back through the heart.
The oxygenated blood travels back to the heart from the body. And repeats the cycle at the vena cava.